Hey everybody, welcome back to the VAR You Serious podcast. I believe we're on episode number 8. I don't know. It's been a little bit. We had the US game and we've both been busy, so we're back at it now. How you doing, Dad?
Good, good. Just settling into the fall season here. Got the fire going on behind me. So
Oh, fancy.
if I catch on fire, let me know. It's a little hot, but
Yes.
the basement down here is a little chilly. So you just
All
got back
good.
from Portland. Looks like you're wearing a little swag there.
Yeah, a little bit of merch. My good friend lives out in Portland and works for the team, and he was able to hook it up with some stuff. He gave me a sweatshirt and a hat. So threw the hat on, just got off my flight about an hour ago, and we're back. We're back in it. And
I'm
actually
not sure.
the
I'm not
Timbers
sure I
are
feel about
playing
that.
right
We're
now.
Rapids fans. Rapids fans. I mean, I'd like, the free stuff is nice, but just one time, all right? Just one time.
Maybe. I don't know. The Rapids keep disappointing me, and they disappointed again on decision day. So Portland's going to be my second team as they're in the playoffs, or at least the wild card match for now. So
Yeah,
um,
it's tied up
and
0-0.
they're playing RSL, the Rapids' biggest rival. So we'd rather Portland win anyways.
Sure, let's go with that.
We'll take that. We'll take that. But anyways, we got a great episode for y'all today. I think it's kind of a different one. Dad, I feel like we're talking a lot of different topics, which is always fun. And the one big thing that we're going to start with this week, this news came out about a week or so ago, but very interesting. Demetri Mitchell, former Manchester United academy prospect,
Mhm.
now I believe playing in League One or League Two, openly talked about in with a reporter how he negotiated his most recent contract with the help of AI, which I thought was super interesting. He doesn't have an agent anymore. He has his family for consulting and advice, obviously, in his best interest. But for actual contractual terms, Demetri Mitchell would plug it in to, I believe, ChatGPT to understand, hey, is this good? What should I do if I want more money? And it actually works. So, Dad, what do you think about this? And obviously, this is the ever evolving state of AI, but what do you think about it in sport?
I mean, I think I'm okay with it. I'm not sure it's the best course of action for a player. I think it'd be fine for background, just data understanding, but obviously AI is not 100% reliable. It feels a little bit like a FISBO house, you for sale by owner. You can do a lot of the legwork, but ultimately, I would at least pay a lawyer to look at it. I don't know, did he or was he relying entirely on AI?
It was entirely AI, from what he said. And to my knowledge, AI, at least from what it can do by itself, especially the agentic model now, which can actually act in your favor. I
Yeah.
believe he used the normal version, but to my knowledge, from its knowledge and the way it computes and figures things out, it does know at least basic law. Now, I don't know how much that goes into contractual law and actual things. And to an extent, I think they say the 70-30 rule, Dad. AI is about 70% of the time, I think is what's mostly said. And you need to fact check it pretty much every time.
Yes.
So, do we think this is more empowering players to take matters into their own hands? Or is this threatening, I guess, the legality of things, agents, lawyers? Is it kind of, I don't know, is this impeding on that system that's in place?
Probably. But once again, to use the real estate comparison, in the old days, back before you were born, I mean, you had to heavily rely on real estate agents. There was no internet. You couldn't just scan houses on the internet and look at 35, 40 pictures and, 3D walkthroughs and all this stuff. And yet these agents real estate agents still want to be paid the same 2.8, 3%, whatever commission. And
Yeah.
so I think it'd be fine if this actually brings the cost down, especially if this guy's playing in League One or League Two. He doesn't have Premier League money, and I realize it's probably a percentage, something like that. But I could see why these guys would want to try to save a few bucks if they can.
Well, and I think most of these guys, not to say that they're not educated, I'm sure most of them are, but most of these guys, if they don't have an agent, not only could AI help them negotiate a contract where they're maybe not understanding as much, but they can have it craft responses for them to prove why they deserve more money. I believe Demetri Mitchell put his stats in and said, hey, take my statistics from last year to prove to my club why I should get this amount of money. And I think that's a honestly fantastic use case, especially if he's taking it, reworking it into his own words and using it to his advantage. So honestly, I think to your point, as long as all of these players are kind of avoiding the ethical risk with bad data and privacy, I think it's great. But it could be interesting to see how far these players go in using it and to what level, right? Are we going to see Premier League players use it? Are other sports going to see this happen as well?
I think the answer is yes. I think you will see more and more people use it. Will they use it for the entire process? I
Probably
sure
not.
hope not, right? Like I said, I think it's great for early stages, even middle stage negotiations. But man, before you put pen to paper, I would at least have a lawyer or someone take a look at the contract just to make
Yeah.
sure. Like, once again, last time I'll use this example, but there's real estate services out there who give you like for 1%, they'll do kind of some of the final legwork rather than the full 2.8% commission. I would think at this point, that's something I would consider as a player. Trust myself, use AI as a really good tool early on. But at some point, you're going to have to cough up a little bit of money to make sure you're not getting taken advantage of.
Agreed. And I think we're just going to have to see what this does to agencies and lawyers in general. This is a common trend, as you said, in multiple industries that I think is really evolving what law looks like and how lawyers operate as well. So it's going to be interesting to evaluate more, but good on Demetri Mitchell making his money and getting the job done. And hopefully nothing was wrong in the contract because we don't know yet. So
Yep.
we'll have
Yep.
to wait and see,
Good
Dad.
luck
We'll have
to
to
him.
wait and see. And I think that brings us on to our underdogs of the week. We've had some time to evaluate different options here, Dad. So what did you go for this week?
Once again, I'm waiting for that graphic. Are you going to put up that graphic underdog of the week? Like we need to kind of fancy this up a little bit, be catchy.
We can try.
But yeah, underdog of the week. Mine is Curaçao. With World Cup qualifiers, there were quite a few interesting results over the last, week, 10 days. But, obviously, CONCACAF fan with the United States being in CONCACAF. So paying a little more attention to those results probably than other parts of the world. But, Curacao beat Jamaica 2-0. And that's a big upset. Granted, it was at home for Curacao, I'm pretty sure. So okay, not quite as challenging as trying to win in Jamaica, but 2-0. And I don't know if you saw the goals, but both of those goals were legit. There was no accident.
Well worth. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess Curacao doesn't qualify for the World Cup just yet, but I'm pretty sure they're ahead. And Jamaica is in second place and in some real peril because if I understand correctly, only the top team in each group qualifies
Yep.
out of CONCACAF. So there's a real thin margin of error, but you just love this stuff, man. I don't know if you saw like some of the celebrations, these really high fences at the stadium in Curacao, and
Yeah.
the players are
It was amazing.
jumping. It's like the Lambeau leap, times two because the fence is so
Absolutely.
high. So
Yeah.
you love seeing that, right? You just love it.
Well, I think that's the advantage with three teams in these multi-bid World Cups, especially in different regions and kind of giving everyone a chance. because the three best teams in CONCACAF are already qualified. So all these small island nations who I think a lot of people dog on are, they have some good players and they're good teams. And this is, to your point, giving them an opportunity to show that. I think Curaçao did, and in a really great atmosphere, right? I don't even know, Dad. I don't even think I could point out to you where Curaçao is on a map, but I'm sure it was a great time.
Absolutely. Well, not for Jamaica, but
Not for Jamaica. Not for Jamaica. Another place that would be cool to go, but not sure.
yeah,
Not sure when I'll make it down there. Maybe at some point. I'll have to work on my accent a little bit, but not going to do
okay.
that
Don't,
here.
no, no, don't do that. Don't do that. All right. Who's your underdog of the week?
Yes, yes. My underdog, I guess a little more recent, but not super recent. And it's a funny one, Dad. And I think you kind of did this earlier this season, but my underdog is Manchester United. Obvious reasons. Manchester United has struggled ever since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. Let's be real. They've won some trophies, but they've overall struggled. And crazy stat, they had not won at Anfield since 2016. I mean, we're talking essentially a decade
Yeah.
since they've beaten their biggest rivals on the road. And, Dad, I have to say, Manchester United actually looked pretty good. And kudos to them for getting the win. I don't know if you saw the goals or the game at all, but it was pretty impressive, honestly, for
I
where
saw
they
some
finished.
highlights. Clearly, as an Arsenal fan, I'm never going to shed a tear when Liverpool loses. I don't get excited about a Man U win. Man U played us pretty well that first game of the season. So
Yeah.
I'm not shocked by this. I think I'm more shocked by the fact that Liverpool's now lost 4 games in a row, right? Did they play their Champions League game this week? And
And they did win today.
they did.
They did
Okay.
beat Eintracht Frankfurt 5-1. It's a big
Okay, so
win.
they're a little bit back
And
on track now.
they're a little bit back, but 4 losses in a row. And Liverpool haven't lost 5 and I believe like 60 years or
Oh,
something
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
So to see them lose 4 in a row and Manchester United pile that on at Anfield was a big blow for Liverpool and a big win that Manchester United really desperately needed. So kudos to them. Uh, One funny thing I want to point out, they are on a 2-game win streak. And there is that one guy on Instagram, Dad, who, if they get to 5 straight wins, will finally get to cut his hair.
His hair is kidding. I mean, at some point you gotta be like, "Dude, I can't do it anymore." I
I
just
don't think he's gonna quit, and good for him. Because he looks absolutely ridiculous. But maybe this is the time. They have Brighton at home, tough game. We'll see how it goes. But kudos to Curaçao and Manchester United, both great wins.
just to be clear, Man U is still in ninth place. So top half the
Yes,
table is better, but, they still have some work
top
to
half
do.
is good for them, considering the last couple of years. Top half is fantastic.
Right, but definitely for Man U, I don't think they're getting too
Not the
excited
standard.
just yet. Let's
No,
keep it in
not quite.
perspective. Yeah.
Not quite,
Alright.
Dad, but I think a team that we want to talk about that was in the top half last year as a little bit of a shock to most people, are now nowhere near the top of the table and have really, really struggled. We're talking about Nottingham Forest. I
Yep.
think they've been on a lot of people's minds, a lot of people's, I guess, discussions recently. Ange Postecoglou, with one of the shortest Premier League managerial stints of all time, lost 8 straight games across all competitions, and
Did he
or didn't
lose
get
them
a win.
all, or did he lose them
No,
all or
he
did he tie 'em?
drew a couple.
Okay.
So just didn't get a win for
Yeah.
eight
Yeah.
matches, which is brutal for a team that's in the Europa League and got 6th place last year. Um,
Yeah.
but they just hired Sean Dyche. But Dad, where do you think Nottingham Forest are at? I've only watched them a little bit, and they look lost. If it was me saying that.
Well, so first of all, I think, yeah, he kept his job for like 35, 40 days, which to me is insane. I understand listen, no wins in 8 matches, rough start to the season. They're in the relegation zone, but it's October. And,
Mhm.
was Nuno the manager before him?
Yeah, and Nuno started the season. Remember that.
Right, right, right. And so, I wouldn't call myself an expert on all these coaches, but those guys are pretty different coaching styles. And to expect him to pick up with the talent, the guys that Nuno had brought in with a more, I'm pretty sure more of a defending style,
Yep.
man, like I get the idea of it's a big money sport. Patience is not necessarily a luxury, but good lord, I think they pulled the trigger way too quickly.
And, I think I agree to an extent, Dad. I think we have two problems here, though, to why it makes sense in my head. One, you have Marinakis, the Nottingham Forest owner, who is very notorious in England and internationally, kind of for his antics. Quite emotional, quite quick to make a decision, too. And he owns multiple clubs
I was gonna
and
say, I think
has
he owns a
done this a
Greek
lot.
club. He
He
owns
owns
like
Olympiacos,
okay,
which he has also been very fluid with the manager if they do not agree with him and if they're not doing well. So he runs a very tight ship. I think we all saw that video of Morgan Gibbs White after he was going to move to Spurs, but didn't, and filmed that really weird video with Marinakis repeatedly thanking him for a new contract. It was a little creepy, but
yeah.
at the end of the day, that's one thing. We know he acts quickly. If he doesn't like what he sees, they're gone. Secondly, Postecoglou, we've seen it enough already to where he's proven his system doesn't work in the Premier League. I mean,
It worked
like
in Europa
Spurs,
League.
it did, and maybe that's why they brought him in since Forrest is there, but it wasn't working. People have caught on. Spurs finished. Spurs almost could have gotten relegated last year. I think people
Yeah,
forget that. Good on
yeah,
them for winning Europa League, but they almost got relegated. They had a horrific Premier League season, and you could see the same trends with Nottingham Forest on terrible on set piece defending, way too high of a line. To your point, Dad, I don't think it was working. But what do you think about this going forward? Is the culture kind of messed up right now? What do Nottingham Forest need to do now?
I think Sam Dyche is a good, is a
Oh,
good hire.
Sean,
Sean, sorry. I think he's a
you're
great
good.
hire. I think about what he did for Everton. No, he's not exciting. He's gonna sit back, defend, look for opportunities going forward, give up some possession. That's what Nuno did, and it seemed to work pretty well. I don't necessarily know if he'll have the same success as Nuno did, but he will more than likely have more success than Postecoglou. So I would say it's a solid hire. I would say, he's Dyche is the kind of guy that comes in and helps you avoid relegation. Um,
Steadies the ship, right?
right, just like he did at Everton. He was not the long-term solution at Everton. He righted the ship and now he's gone. And so certainly I imagine Forrest is hoping for the same thing, but long term, yeah, I think Forrest has got to decide who they are, and what that looks like. I mean, first of all, um, are you more of a defensive team or are you more of an attacking team? And so,
Yeah.
like, and right now, their personnel seems to be that they're a defending team. So yeah, bring in
It
Dyche,
seems like it,
work
but
with that.
it's an identity crisis to your point, Dad. I don't think they know where they're going. And that's kind of been their shtick ever since they got back in the Premier League. They bought players like crazy. They spent tons of money, almost seemingly like Chelsea. Kind of no, it didn't seem like a strategy. Pretty much buying players and hoping 11 of them worked well enough. Which it did end up getting there, but it took a couple seasons to get
Yeah,
there, right? But now you have this group of players. You've sold a couple of them. You have this group that has talent, no doubt. But to your point, they need to figure out now, what are we going to be? And if it's Sean Deitch, you're going to have to buy into that system, at least for the time being. But is that what they need to be going forward completely? Who knows? Who
I
knows?
think
But I
this
think.
This year is all about survival at this point.
Because we're
Finish
definitely gonna
13th,
have we're gonna
14th.
have a relegation battle this year, 100%.
Um, I could actually even see Forest fine by Christmas. In fact,
I mean,
I
I
don't
don't
like
know about that.
predictions. I don't like predictions, but I'm going to say that uh, higher or lower. Um, will Forest be higher or lower than 16th by Boxing Day? I'm saying higher. What
Then
do you say?
16th, um,
Higher or lower?
I'm gonna say lower.
Ooh, okay.
I think I like your higher pick. They're only 3 points off 16th right now with Burnley and Leeds just ahead of them. Obviously,
Exactly.
two newly promoted teams, but they're also gonna be playing a similar style of football to both of those teams. And Burnley and Leeds have already executed. They have the stability going right now. And I've liked what I've seen out of those two clubs. All the promoted teams have found some success. Nottingham Forest is going to take some time, even with a stable manager like Sean Dyche, to get into rhythm and figure out what they're doing, right? And I don't know what games they have coming up, but by that time of the year, I'm not convinced that they're going to be safe. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see, right? And I think they know they can't afford to go down, so we'll see
Well,
how it
just
works out
just real
for them.
quick, I don't want to go on too long here. Coming up,
Yeah,
they've got Bournemouth, Man U, Leeds, Liverpool, Brighton. So they got some tough matches for sure. Wolves, Everton. Um,
I mean that is an extremely tough string of games you just
yeah,
said.
maybe I shouldn't open my
Bournemouth
mouth
are
more.
arguably one of the best. Bournemouth are arguably one of the best teams in the league this year. Antoine Semenyo is a guy on fire. They have to play Liverpool. They have to play Manchester United, who's finding some form. Like that doesn't sound simple. I don't know what you think, Dad, but that doesn't
I'm
sound easy to
sticking
me.
with my higher. I believe in
All
Sean
right.
Dyche. I've never had him as a manager, but I followed Everton enough because my buddy Brian to believe in Sean Dyche, and I think he rights the ship faster than you think.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I think it's going to take him some time. I do agree with you though that he will right the ship for Forest. So we'll get there. We'll see how it happens. But yeah, Dad. Now on to a different type of situation here. We're at the end of a season, as we were saying at the beginning of the call, here in the United States. We have the MLS playoffs, and I think the MLS has been relatively interesting this year, following somewhat closely. I mean, just to start, we have a team that just started in San Diego FC that finished top of the West. We've seen that
Yeah.
happen with St. Louis and some other teams before. I think Nashville did it when they came in.
Yep.
So kudos to them. Inter Miami look unbelievable with that group of players. Can they get it done this year? I'm not sure. And then you have some new ones coming into play and some teams that are interesting. Vancouver was really good this year. LAFC has a dynamic duo in Buanga and Son. And then on the other side, you got Philadelphia as the Supporters Shield winner. They're kind of back to where they've been before.
Yep.
So, Dad, we're going to do a couple questions here to kind of predict the MLS playoffs. So did you find some answers for this, or what are you thinking?
Um, well, I'm thinking I'm bummed the Rapids didn't quite qualify. They probably wouldn't
Agreed.
have gone very far, but scored that goal, going ahead of LAFC, big game, almost immediately give up the game tying goal, even though
Yeah.
RSL I think lost or ended up drawing St. Louis. Like they could have made it, so that was tough. So I got to
Yeah.
admit I'm not as fired up for the playoffs, but I'll tell you something I am a little fired up about. It feels like, and I understand it, I just don't like it. It feels like in listening to some other podcasters out there and other people in the media that they kind of want Messi to win. They kind of want, Busquets and these guys. And was it Jordi Alba's retiring as well? Like, I don't
Yeah.
care if Messi wins it or not. I think Messi has already
Yeah.
had his
Same.
impact on MLS. I think there's some discussion that Messi winning the title would be iconic for MLS. I mean, I suppose, but from a business standpoint, I think Messi has already had his impact. I don't think
He's done
winning
what he's had to do.
Yeah,
Off the field, on the field, he's done what he's needed. I mean, I think I just saw a stat today, Dad. He hit 50 goals, joint quickest with Zlatan and someone else I can't remember. So
yeah.
he's done his job, to your point. But now being in the playoffs, Dad, will he be that same player? Will he be that impactful? And that leads us to the first prediction. Who's going to be the most impactful player of the playoffs this year? You can start.
Ugh. Well, I mean, Messi's going to be impactful. Like, whether he is hugely impactful, like scoring a hat trick, which I believe he did the other day in the last game of the season.
It's
Um,
Nashville. Yep.
you know, obviously, if he doesn't score and they end up getting kicked out of the playoffs, well, that's going to be impactful. Maybe not in the way that MLS wants, but I mean, listen. I know there are some really good young stars on MLS, but right now, I think for most people, all eyes are first and foremost on Messi. So it kind of begins and ends there. Who's the kid who was right behind him? Had a shot for a while at winning the MVP, but Messi's going to win it. Um,
I believe
I'm drawing a
we're
blank.
looking at Anders Dreyer had a really
Yes,
great season
yes,
for San Diego FC.
yeah.
Obviously, they finished top of the Western Conference, but he ended up finishing 9 goal contributions behind Messi. Messi had 45 goals and assists, and he had 36. So
Well, Messi came on really strong at the end, but like a young kid like that, he deserves attention. And I think if San Diego can win a couple of matches and get deeper into the playoffs, I think he will get that attention and more eyes. There, San Diego's gonna have to prove itself. I mean, hey, listen, regular season, solid run, but they're gonna have to prove themselves when it really counts.
no, absolutely, Dad. And I think two guys who can prove it really counts. I'm going to say a most impactful duo, and I'll pick one of them as my most impactful player. But I already said them. Buanga and Son have been red hot to end the season. Red
Yeah,
hot. And LAFC have looked, I mean, the Rapids played a good game against them, but they've looked unbeatable. And they're
yeah,
on a hot stretch going into the playoffs. I like the way they look. They have good home advantage. And Buanga's had 24 goals this year. I think people are forgetting that. Joint second in the Golden Boot race, uh, obviously to Messi, but
yeah,
he's had a fantastic season. But my most impactful player is going to be Heung-min Son. I mean, talk about a guy who still could probably be playing in Europe. Messi probably could too. But Son is also fresher than a lot of these guys.
yeah,
He had a summer off.
yeah,
Most of these guys did not. And Son already has accumulated 9 MLS goals since he came in.
yeah.
So I personally think Heung-min Son is going to come in firing. It's going to be really interesting to see kind of how LAFC operate. I think their first match, pardon me, is Austin FC at home.
Hmm.
Um, it is a best of 3
Yeah.
series, so we'll have to see how it goes. But I think that duo's been firing. I think Son uh, could be the MVP of the playoffs, if you want to say it that way.
Can I step in here? I know you want to ask more about predictions and who's going to win and stand out and so on, but can I just complain that I do not like the 2 out of 3 playoff series?
Oh, it's terrible.
For soccer, I do not like it. And
It doesn't make sense.
I understand the idea behind it, but like, no. One game, all the marbles on the line.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I
It
think this is
loses
the guy.
all the intensity, to your point, of the one game knockout. And if you're gonna do a multi-game setup, it at least needs to be aggregate. Make it the actual normal setup that's
Right.
used in Europe and all over the world. They've Americanized it too much and no one even uses best of 3 in the US. No one does that. It's at
No,
least best of 5 or 7, which also doesn't make sense in soccer. And
it's all about
you're right on
money.
the money, Dad. You're right on the money. It's all about the cash,
Yeah,
which
but I hate it.
is too bad.
I don't
It's too
like it.
bad.
And honestly, I know I'm a little sour grapes because the Rapids aren't in the playoffs, but like I don't really want to watch best 2 out of 3 between LAFC and Austin. And they're, decent teams to watch. Austin's got a great stadium, great crowd, all that stuff. But 2 or 3 games, I don't want to watch that. I want to watch
It
one.
takes too long.
It
It takes
too
too
long.
long.
Yeah,
And it also completely negates LAFC having a much better season than Austin. You know?
it
I
does
mean,
reduce
maybe
it.
not much better. I mean, let's see. They finished with 13 more points than Austin, but yet
That's quite a bit
Austin's going to get a home game. For what? At the end of the day, right?
for the
For what?
owners, for the
For
owner.
the owner. For the owners. And I agree with you, Dad. I think it is a bit of a farce. But, maybe this actually leads into our next point. Maybe it'll cause some upsets, Dad, and we'll see some things maybe we weren't expecting to see here. So this is kind of like underdog of the week, but we're predicting it. Who's going to be your biggest upset pick and why?
Ooh, you're asking me to. Whew. Just looking here. Seattle. I'm more familiar with the West. I got to be honest.
Yeah,
Than
same.
Eastern Conference. I think Seattle in 5th place. Um,
Yep.
I I could see Seattle winning the whole thing. That's
Okay.
a city that's used to winning. Some excellent players there. I feel like they were hotter earlier in the season. But just kind of off the cuff here, I'm thinking Seattle could go pretty deep here. Um, so that's going to be
That,
kind of my darker horse pick.
and I like that pick, Dad, because Seattle is a historically well performing team, like you said.
Yeah,
Great environment, great atmosphere,
great
solid
coach,
team.
great
They
coach.
won Leagues Cup. Did you say that already? They won Leagues Cup.
No, I didn't, but I said they have a great coach too.
They do have a great coach, and I think we're saying all the right things here. I think Seattle has a great chance, Dad. So I'm excited to see where they kind of go. They have some fun players as well. Mine, Dad, gonna keep it quick here. They actually won their wild card game tonight and have not been very prevalent in MLS for a while. I'm going with the Chicago Fire.
What?
And the reason I say Chicago Fire is I think they're going to be a whole hell of a lot for Philadelphia Union. And Union have had a fantastic season, but there's always a big upset, Dad, in MLS. It happens. Inter Miami got
Dude,
knocked out last year.
8 versus 1. That is about as big as it comes as far as upsets.
Well, and let me just say something here. Chicago actually, I believe, bar Inter Miami, scored the most, and they did, scored the second most goals in MLS this year. I think having the prowess and being able to score at will, especially against a team that's better than you, and maybe when it's going against you, is a huge asset as an underdog. So not only that, but I just think they have something about them. And these wild card games are kind of funny because sometimes it can give you a lot of momentum going in to play another team after these other teams have had some time off. And they scored 3 goals tonight, Dad. And I think that shows, hey, they're ready for it. I do want to say one more thing. They did lose 4-0 to Philadelphia Union about 2 months ago. So I think they're coming back for revenge and they're going to score a lot of goals, but we'll see.
They're going to give up a lot of goals too, but okay. We
Maybe
will.
it'll be the best match of the first round.
I can't imagine Seattle or the MLS wants Seattle versus Chicago in the MLS Cup, but crazier things have happened.
Crazier things have happened, Dad, and I think the last thing we're talking about today with the VAR You Serious moment of the week is actually also pretty crazy, especially since we have a team coming here, Dad. Denver Summit. You just got your tickets. Super exciting for next
Yep.
year with
Two
them in the
season
league.
tickets next year. Hey, and by the way, it's 15 home games. I forgot, since both Boston and Denver are being added to the league, 16 teams. So 15 home games, baby. So here we go.
Hey, the temporary stadium is going to be fantastic. We're going to have a good time out
Those
there. It's
rickety
pretty much
bleachers are
sold
going to be
out.
rocking.
Oh yeah, great, great Denver crowd. To your point, Dad, great Denver crowd ready to
Dude,
come out
dude,
and
I mean,
make those. Go ahead.
that dude, the stadium is almost sold out. Like, no joke, right? I mean, I obviously told
And
you
I
I
think
kind
it's
of wait a little
12,000.
long. We got a couple seats behind the goal. They're probably within 1,000 seats, and they're going to release one more batch tomorrow to the last people who put down deposits. They're probably going to have that thing sold out in the next week.
Well, and that this is to your point of it's gonna be super popular here. I'm sure it's super popular in Boston as well. KC, so many different, I guess, states and cities are accepting NWSL and women's sports across the board as legitimate. Finally, it's taken so long to get here, but now it's happening, and it's happening in waves. And I wanted to point this out to you, Dad. NWSL viewership on the TV or
Yep.
any viewing platform, it has quadrupled this year, and that is massive for the league. That's like WNBA type numbers. We're seeing people tune in and watch these teams, which is
And
fantastic.
and keep in mind the WNBA, shout out to them. Great league, really coming along. They've always had the support of the NBA. And so that has been a very, I'm not, like I said, not trying to undermine what the ladies have done, but to have the NBA helping you out has been a big advantage. NWSL has not had that same kind of assistance.
Yeah, definitely a different setup. And Dad, right back to your point, it's a more popular sport. Basketball,
Oh, yeah.
simply in the United States, is more popular than soccer still. That's a fact. So, like you said, good job to the WNBA, but NWSL has worked very hard to get to this point. But I think them working hard has come with its pitfalls, Dad. And this is our moment this week. That's a little confusing, but nearly 70 games this year were not broadcast due to a really weak media rights deal from the league and its partners. I believe ESPN and CBS involved in this one
Yep.
going forward.
Yep.
Um, but Dad, this is a little crazy to me. 70 games not being broadcast. I mean, who's at fault here? Do we think this is more of a broadcast decision or an NWSL leadership
Well,
problem?
I'm sorry, doing a little bit of math here. Um, uh, like, how many games are we? I mean, I need a little perspective here. As far as how many games, so there's like 360-ish games across NWSL. So about
Yeah.
20% of the games were not televised. I think if
I
my
mean,
memory,
that's pretty intense. I don't
it
know
is.
many sport leagues that don't get that have 20% of the games not available. Even
Fair,
women's league.
fair enough. But if I can already throw my card early here, I'm only going yellow card on this because that is kind of a big mistake, I believe. But if I'm correct, there's a new deal coming up here real quick. And I
There is a
believe
new deal.
and I believe that is not going to be the case anymore. So I think because of that, because and let's face it, the reason they're fixing the problem is that they know there's money to be made. But
Yeah,
because the problem is going to be fixed, I think next season. I'm
yeah,
just going yellow card here because clearly the league and media outlets have figured out the mistake, and so I'm going
yeah.
yellow card here, but giving kind of a shout out that this problem, this will not happen again going forward.
Which I think is the biggest point here, Dad. I completely agree with you. It's huge that I think they're rectifying this so quick. I think for this season, it is a red card because they were missing out on capitalizing on potential fans, especially when you're expanding. I think that's just poor form to miss out. We don't know all the reasons. I think that's a red card for this season. Overall, I think it's a yellow card, though, and I agree with you there. Going into next year, they're adding Victory Plus as a new partner to build on top of CBS and ESPN,
Mhm.
and this will offer a new Sunday primetime broadcast as well as covering every match across the league. And then ESPN and ABC, they'll continue to do things. They'll have decision day matches at the end of the season. And then CBS has a great soccer network. They're going to carry the championship game, and they're going to have a lot going on Paramount Plus on the Golasso network, making sure this league is entirely covered, which I think is what we all want, right, Dad?
Absolutely. I mean, for me and you, it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, we love soccer, we love men's soccer, we love women's soccer. So for us, it's a no-brainer. But for those fans just coming on board or kind of casual fans, yeah, you've got to make all these games available so that people can catch them at
Yeah.
any time. I mean, the
And
last thing we
Paramount Plus is $10 a month. It's there. ESPN
yeah.
Plus, $10 a month, right?
Well,
Like
so I was
it's
going to ask you, you
yeah.
mentioned Victory Plus, whatever. I'm assuming that's another $10 a month.
Which I think is obviously a bigger debate about streaming and sports and other things that's become such an issue, Dad. And we both know that more than anyone, I'm sure. But I think the matter of the fact is it's accessible, and I don't know about Victory Plus yet and how accessible that is.
Mhm.
But to me, it's sure a lot more accessible than MLS. I mean, thankfully, MLS said all Apple TV subscribers get the playoffs, but MLS season pass is a joke. $200 for the season pass.
I don't well, as a season pass holder, was it 200 bucks? I wanna say it was like 140, but in
I
any
think
case
over $100 though. I know if you equate that out over the season, it's maybe $20 a month, but they're making more barriers to people watching in the US, which is not what we need.
no, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I didn't watch nearly enough soccer on Apple TV to make it worth that money. I will say it does chap my hide a little bit that they're making it free for everyone for the playoffs. I mean, I'm happy that everyone can watch, but I feel like I'm subsidizing people who didn't pay for the season
After
like
you
I
paid,
did. What's that?
after you already paid, like you said.
Right, like it's fine. Like I'll live. It's not the end of the world. That's already a sunken cost. I'm not going to lose
Yeah.
sleep over it, but yeah, it feels a little crappy, just a little.
And I think I'm just saying I think NWSL should try and avoid that short-sightedness that MLS has maybe shown in their broadcasting endeavors. But I think we'll see going into next season, Dad. We still got the rest of this season for MLS and NWSL, and we got a lot more soccer to cover. So I'm excited to kind of see what happens in the next couple of weeks here.
Me too. Me too. Um, all right. Well, we ready to wrap this bad boy up?
I think we're ready to go. We had a good slate of things today. Dad talked about a lot, and yeah, it was a good episode back. We're back and rolling, and we're excited to see you all next week. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment, go hit up all of our platforms for more content, and we'll see you all next week. Have a good one,
All right.
everyone.
See you later.